our co-chairman. I don't think Spence is here this evening, though. Are you, Spence? No. Okay. Well, let's roll right along, and at this time, I'd like to introduce Reverend Bob Bacon to give our invocation. Reverend Bacon?
Shall we be in the mood of prayer? Gracious God, we give our thanks to you for the beauty of this day. We thank you, God, for special times such as these when we can gather for celebration to acknowledge the special achievements of many students, teachers, coaches, staffs, and parents. As we break bread around tables this evening, may we acknowledge that you are the source and strength of all we do. In the name of your love and grace we pray. Amen.
Very well done. As they say in the military, an army runs on its stomach, and I'm sure you all are thinking the same thing right now. Last year, I thought I had this really organized, and I knew which table was going to go through which door, and which table was going to go through the other door. But the other people out there weren't thinking what I thought they were thinking, and it didn't work out that way. So I'm going to make it a little simpler this year. What I'd like to do is all the people on this side of the aisle are going to go through the far door that said hot lunch line. And we're going to start with the end table down there and come this way in order. Then these people here will go and follow. All the people on this side of the room will go through the door that says salad bar line. And maybe just finishing up on this third, so if we can get started, we can meet some exciting athletes and polish up our evening really well. Of course, tonight we're here to honor several outstanding teams, and one of the teams that have made an excellent impression on me tonight, I'm sure the rest of you, is our kitchen crew. So at this time, I'd like to say, if we could, thank you, our kitchen crew, for the great meal. They always do a terrific job. The food's great, and the service is fast, and it's really wonderful. The Pasco principal of Pasco High is, of course, Ray Reynolds. And Ray has a few words he'd like to say to us this evening to kind of set the tone for the evening. So if you would, at this time, please help me welcome Ray Reynolds.
One of the most critical things is to thank the organization that put the shindig on. These are fantastic, and they're reminiscent of Joe Mopar. He just gave me the signal for number one, so I'm going to keep it extremely short. 1 minute, Joe. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank the students that have shown up here tonight to be recognized. This is an incredible opportunity for you. You realize you're on display within a community, and you've had some tremendous success this year and the past few years. It's a real honor and privilege to be part of an organization that's welcoming you and recognizing the success that you have had. I guess on behalf of the faculty, I'd also like to recognize you on the work you put in as far as maintaining yourself academically as you go through this program. So with that in mind, thanks to the parents. We couldn't do it without you. We wouldn't have any kids. And thanks to the kids, because of your effort, we had some tremendous success. And because of the Kiwanis Club and some of the other organizations that are putting a lot of time and effort into these things, we have the opportunity to recognize you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Reynolds. I'm a little surprised. That is probably the shortest talk you've given. That is great. Thanks, Joe. Before we introduce the coaches of the individual teams that we're honoring here this evening, we also have two other teams that we'd like to give a mention to. And first I'd like to introduce our advisor for the basketball cheerleaders, Jill. Jill, would you like to come up?
I'd like to do just 2 words to Mr. Reynolds' team squad. That's unique and tremendous. I have a unique squad, and that is because we are a whole year long. In fact, we've already started sophomore this year, and she's got enough nerve to go through that whole thing again next year. Not only that, but she'll find out Chris Kane, her picture isn't that cute. My three juniors this year were Fanny Trower, and she's going to share with us next year also. Kim Kuchkov, here's Kim, Kim, and she's played tennis this spring, and she's going to share with us next year also, another leader. My high jumper track. Yes, I'm attractively dressed because I do coach track, and Julie's my high jumper. She's also my this last thing is going to be hard for me because these other girls up here even do this for 2 weeks. They're just looking at each other. They cheered me all last year. 5 girls. They're sort of angry at me because we had tryouts so fast this year that it just seemed like one day they were cheerleaders, the next day they weren't anymore. And it just didn't think I'd get help for next year, but it's really hard to take apart. Jeannie Howard, she's cheered for me here at Pasco 2 years, but she's okay, anyway, see you alone. Going on to tell you we need to get David something, and then we'll all say we knew her. She's going to be big stuff. I don't know. And Valerie. Oh, anyway. And Jackie Guy. Jackie has, we voted her most improved. In football, she was so cute. She was always so afraid to make a mistake, and then by basketball, she just knew it all. Hope that we realize how much time these kids put in, and we're sort of a funny group because we really practice as much as all the basketball teams, football teams, and volleyball teams, and yet I don't think anybody ever looked at a team which is sort of just out there waiting to smile, and they just worked so hard this year and put in such a good time, and I just want to thank you for being such good supporters. It really made your day when somebody went up and said, you did a good job tonight, thanks for being here. And those parents who did that and the students who did that, that was the greatest thing for them to hear all year long. So thank you. Before we close, well, I was asked not to do this, but I'm not listening to directions right now. I don't think, Miss Newby was talking about how people don't notice or don't realize how much work we put into our job. But I think for every hour we spend, Mrs. Newby spends twice that amount. I don't know how many of you remember, but in my sophomore year, 2 years ago, our cheerleading squad, there was just a bunch of girls out there doing who knows what. And when Mrs. Newby came, it was like a 180-degree swing. I would like to thank her so much because I think she is the one who we can say is responsible for this change in our high school. I think out of all the high schools in our league, we have the best crowd. I think we have the best crowd control, and I hope we have the best cheerleaders.
that I would like to do things, or do things. Oh, let's cry later.
Isn't that great? If they had all state cheerleading teams, I'm sure we'd be first place in AAA, huh? You know, we have another group of cheerleaders too, and Kathy Gunderson is the advisor for this group, and Kathy would like to say a few short words about her cheerleaders. Kathy, would you like to come up? We're going to hear from each individual coach, or the coaches of each individual event for a short overview of the season, and then after that, we'll split up to individual groups for each group so that we can go a little faster. The first group that we'd like to introduce, of course, tonight is wrestling, and I'd like to introduce to you now Coach Gary Hackney, and of course you have your assistant coach with you, all right? Gary? Gary?
Well, first off, I want to thank the people for the banquet. It's real nice. This is going to be quick because, we're all going over to our rooms, and that's where we're going to do our burn things, as they say. I'd like to give a special thanks to Mrs. Gunderson for running our cheerleaders. I guess running, I don't know what word you use. Got quite a letter that they got when we were getting snowed out, and I could be able to go to Moses Lake or something. I'll read that later to the other group. But she totally donates her time. Now, she was paid as a statistician this year. According to the reports, this has to kind of change next year. We've got to come up with some way to pay the wrestling cheerleaders and not have it. So when you leave, there'll be a can over here. You put your little change in for it later. Oh, you mean Reynolds is gone? Oh, that was wasted, huh? Yeah, that was our meeting. We met to go over the wrestling for next year. That's what our conclusion this year. So, I'm not going to waste your time and mine. If you're interested in wrestling, you were at our matches, you followed it, you saw what we did. We were terrible. We had a few good individuals as a team. It just didn't work out. We had some good times with individuals. We had some fun times. And we'll go over them later. So, if you get bored in one of the other rooms, drop down to room 172C and we'll bump you up a little bit. Thank you.
I think it's great that these young people go out for athletic programs. Whether you have a winning season or a losing season, the fact that you participate, the fact that you get out and work in team effort for your school makes you a winner. And I think that's just super that young people go out and participate like that. It's great. The next program that we'd like to talk about is girls basketball. They had an exciting season this year, and please welcome Coach John Shimmick. John?
Before I begin my thank yous, I want to give Coach Hackney a burn before he leaves. We're going down to Walla Walla, and it's always interesting to go down and play a Walla Walla, whatever you're doing. But I was sitting on the bench before the game, and I always get pretty nervous before the game, and I looked up and I saw Coach Hackney walking in the gym, and I knew one of two things. Either he was lost, or we finally made it. We got some attention from the rest of them. He made my season when he walked into the gym. Thank you. We had a real good season. I could name about 19 reasons why we had a good season, but I won't go through all those. It was a a tremendous turnaround for our program. It was a season of firsts in many ways. My first season as a winning head coach. It was the first time we've been to regionals for about 5 years. It was nice to end the former state champions season. First time we've done that for a while. We ended Walla Walla season. This was just a tremendous season for our kids and the high school and the whole community, and I'm just very, very pleased with it, as I'm sure you are. I want to say thank you to a number of people because I'm just, the head coach all he does is make substitutions. It's everybody else making the contributions that make the whole thing go. First person I'd like to thank is the most important person in this room. That's my wife. Next person I'd like to thank is our athletic director, Ann Hayden, for just taking care of it. I've been in another building, and every time I have a question, I call Ann up, and she's just been super supportive of me the last 3 years. I'll let you handle that, Coach Hackett. The next person, people I'd like to thank, was my scorekeeper for the past 3 years. She's been with the girls program for 4 years. She's been through the lean times, she's been through the good times, and she's always stuck with me. That's Ellen Forrester. Thank you, Ellen. My 2 statisticians were new this year. I had them both in class last year, and they make it through my class. They were both A students, and I figured if they made it through my class, and they're A students, and they keep stats for me, they must like me, so they're going to stick with me. That's Debbie Young and Raquel Woodward. I'd like to recognize my assistant coach, Rick Venable. He's the guy that got the whole program going and paid his dues and so forth. He dropped out a couple years ago and kind of recharged his batteries and came back in this year. And I'll tell you, no one will ever know the importance of Rick to our program this year and to our success. Thanks, Rick. I also at this time want to recognize the coaches in the boys program, head coach Mike Bojardo, assistant coach Ron Williamson, and assistant coach Dave Anderson for their support and advice this year. Just tell a little bit of story, real quick story. The night after we defeated Walla Walla and we were going to play Richland for the right to go to Spokane, I didn't sleep very well that night, and I was up pretty early and so forth. And got up about 4:30 in the morning, and I watched the last Richland game about 3 times. I didn't see any way we could stop them, and Mike's team had been defeated the night before, and I called him up at 8:30 in the morning and said, Coach, can you come over and give me some help? So he and Dave Anderson came over at 8:30 in the morning, and they sat with me for about 2.5 hours and helped me out a lot in terms of getting ready for Richland. I really appreciate it, guys. I'd like to thank the Pasco Booster Club for their support all throughout the season. They were just super. I'd like to thank the band. We haven't seen them for a while, and they came and played a couple of our games, and I really appreciate that. I'd like to thank Frank Lamb for videotaping our games. Movie and the cheerleaders, we really appreciate the support they gave us, and we're glad that we gave you something to cheer about this year. Well, thank you for coming and supporting us. I want to thank Mr. Dong for, he gave up a lot of officiating jobs this year to come keep the clock at our game, and he followed us all the way through our season. I want to thank Gil Swift for running the 30-second clock this season for me. I want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Rowell. I don't know if they're here tonight, but they made us Mr. Rowell here. I want to thank you very, very much for that poster that you made and those things that you made for the kids before the second Command game. They really appreciated that, and so did I. I want to thank John Christensen and John Zelber. John's been invaluable. Both Johns have been invaluable to us the last couple of years in terms of taping and so forth. They went with us to the regionals, and thank those people very much. I want to thank perhaps the most important group in here, and that's the parents of my ball players. Only you know how much time and effort your kids have put into preparing for this season. This season wasn't just made in November, and we didn't just put things together when we started turning out. This season was made starting 2 years ago with the group of sophomores that we had. And those kids put in a lot of time and hours and effort the last 2 years, summer times, out of season, and so forth. And Mom and Dad got them there. Mom and Dad kept them pumped up. Mom and Dad paid the bills. Mom and Dad kept them pumped up, and they followed their games and so forth. And even when they didn't agree with the coach, they kept bringing them back to practice and so forth. Parents, thank you very, very, very much. Appreciate that. The last group I'd like to thank before we leave are the 12 girls who went through the season and went to regional with us. Those kids deserve everything that they earn. Thank you.
Devotion that they gave to their team and wanting to win, it's astounding. I think it's terrific, just terrific. Thank you.
So anyway, they did a good job for us, and I know sometimes the guys don't feel like the stats are accurate, but I never did have one player volunteer to look at the tapes and count up his own stats, so it's really pretty good. The other people that are so important to us, there's people that you see running around, you see me growling at them, and they don't growl in public, but in the practice they growl back sometimes. But anyway, those are the people that help me during practice, and those are our managers. First of all, we have Darren Snook. And then our BYU connection, David Schick. David is still convinced that BYU was #1. Greg says no, but we'll never know. The other two people that were very important, and one is being groomed for a position for next year, and I hope he does as good a job as the one we have now, but that is John Sullivan. John did many things. He also he kept me in shape once in a while. He wanted to beat me one-on-one. He never did. Now, the most important person that in our progress, as far as support personnel, aside from the coaches, would have to be John Christensen. Now, we all know John. John has been with us for 3 years. I like to say that he's been with me for 3 years. Well, he actually has. He's been our trainer for 3 years. And what a great job he has done. John in the summers goes off somewhere last week. He says, Coach, I'm going to Texas. I said, you're going to Texas? He said, yeah. I'm going to go study some more. I said, well, John, go ahead. And he went. He always does the things that are necessary for us. He was very important to us, taking care of injuries. And not only for our program, but also for the wrestling program and for the girls program. John was always there to help out in any way he could. John is amazing. On Saturdays we have 8 o'clock game. He's there at 2 or 1, whatever. If there's a kid that needed to be taken care of, John was there. And I don't know, I appreciate him. I hope the girls and the guys, the wrestlers, everybody that had anything to do with John Christensen, we must appreciate him. And also, I want to thank his dad, because his dad and his mother were always there to make sure that John could do things, and really appreciate their help. I know that John has many options open to him. I know that last summer he was a trainer for the triplets, and who knows, maybe someday we'll be watching him on TV, a trainer for some sports team. He has that kind of potential. I know I've forgotten somebody, I know I've forgotten some things, but I just want to recognize one person now, because we're going to break up, and I know there was some, and I think Mr. Shimmick forgot to recognize somebody as well, but those were the people that made all conference for the league. And then we're going to break up, but I want to recognize this first because you might not hear about it later. But Greg Travis was voted first team all conference for the basketball team this year. And Greg. And also Dwayne Hans and Tim Sullivan were recognized as honorable mentions. I guess we're going to go to 172B.
Can I warn them? They can't get the vacuuming and the chairs set down in time. So they'll have the vacuuming done. You can set the chairs down. We need a little exercise after a big meeting.
I have a feeling John has some more that he wants.
Yeah, I'm sorry. These kids deserve recognition. We had a sophomore this year that was named first team all-conference.
John, I'm sorry. I sent her home for more film.
Blank film, I know. And we had a senior who was named second team all-conference, Chris Keeney.
Thank you, John. I'm the bookend. I come in between each one of you. We've always had, I think, an outstanding athletic program at Pasco High School. When you consider the fact that our school, among the other AAA schools, is one of the smaller ones. Many times we have less people out for our athletic program. But you have to admit and recognize that our athletic programs are exceptional. And I think one of the primary reasons is the type of athletic director we have in Ann Keith. This time I'd like to introduce Ann, and she has a few words for us. Ann?
This is the second time this year that I have had the privilege of making the presentation that I am about to make. Coach John Shimmick was selected by his fellow Big Nine coaches for their most prestigious honor, Coach of the Year for 1984-85. It is a very well-deserved honor. All coaches work long hours. Coach Shimmick is no exception. The effort paid off with the success that our girls basketball team enjoyed this year. Coach Shimmick. This flag has a clock on it because we don't want him to forget the memorable time he had this year.
I want to thank Ann and everybody. I want to thank the kids, man. The kids are wonderful. Make it possible.
Mrs. Shimmick makes as great a commitment to this program as Coach Shimmick does. Mary Ann, we would like you to have the flowers on the table, courtesy of the Pasco Kiwanis Club. I think all of you know that this year there was some additional stress during the basketball season. I was so grateful that John was married. I'm also grateful that we have at least one basketball coach that's married. I just keep nagging and it's not doing any good. I also want to pay tribute to our students who are willing to make the kind of commitment that it takes to participate in athletics. I'm including the cheerleaders in that, and also maintain the kind of academic standing that we require here in the Pasco School District. We acknowledge the parents who cook the meals at all the odd hours and do the laundry and provide the taxi service and still manage to make it to all of the home and away events. The booster clubs and their moral and financial support. And finally, the Pasco Kiwanis Club for making this particular celebration a class affair. Thank you very much.
I noticed that John had a little of the similar type of symptoms that Miss Newby had when she was up there. So I'd like to make a suggestion. Maybe next year we should have Miss Newby last so that it doesn't become contagious. Okay, we're going to adjourn now to the respective rooms for each program. The wrestling program will be in 172C, so you go out this door to your left,